What's up guys, Bryce from Escape here. Today I just want to discuss a little bit about how to start your own clothing brand. Since I started a year ago, I've been asked a number of times on how I went about it. So in this video today, I just want to talk about things I did, highlight some things that I did well, things I didn't do well, some pitfalls that you should avoid, and how to do it step by step going forward. Let's get into it.
I can't stop the love we made.
So guys, one of the first things you want to look at when going into it is the niche you want to enter. Are you going to be targeting young people, older people? That's going to decide the type of clothing you're going to be able to make for them. So you can look at boutique stuff, streetwear, casual apparel, anything like that. That's really all that I know of. There might be some vintage and old school 90s kind of stuff you might come up with, which can be pretty funky and pretty cool if you're into that. But pretty much you're just going to go into something that you understand, something you know. So at the moment, for example, Escape, we're looking at probably the age group of 18 to 30 year olds at the moment. And it's just casual wear, casual apparel, because that's something that I understand. So pretty much you just need to decide what kind of things you need to go into. Are you going to look at those type of things that we just mentioned before? And once you are, you need to start looking at sources of getting those types of clothing in. So you can look at getting blank clothing in from several places. You might want to look at places like AS Color. They're really good prices and everything like that, and the quality of the material is absolutely fantastic. Other things you can go and look at are places like Gildan Premium Wear online. There's Bella Canvas, and there was one more. Bella Canvas and, bear with me, American Apparel, that's the one. So guys, those four are some really good places that I've used in the past and had really good experiences with, and all of them offer wholesale pricing, which means the more you purchase from them, the cheaper the pricing will be. So that's something that I definitely think you should look into going forward. That's something that I've done going forward with Escape. If you're going into more of a boutique kind of direction, I can't offer too much advice or information on that because I'm pretty limited with what I know about it. I think it's going to be mostly cut and sew kind of stuff, so you'll probably need to speak to a fashion designer or someone like that who can probably make you some more customized kind of things, especially if you want to start doing something like a label in that field. So if you want to do a label, probably look into seeing a fashion designer and seeing what you can work up and what they can come up with you, and start looking at doing some designs and stuff like that with them. Great, so now you know what you want to sell, you know the types of clothes that you want to get in and everything like that. So we need to start looking at branding. So with branding, you need to come up with a meaning or a story behind what your clothing represents and what you want it to represent to people buying it. Some examples of branding are Nike and Adidas. The first thing that comes to mind is elite sports, big sporting stars and young kids chasing their dreams to reach the goals on the big stage. Another type of branding would be Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger. So you're just thinking of upper class kind of stuff there. With Escape, something that I want to try and get into at the moment, we're just casual apparel for casual occasions. But going forward, it would be really good if we could get it going into more of a direction where you want to escape the 9 to 5, you want to chase your dreams, that kind of thing. So the way I went about branding Escape is more of an old school kind of approach. I literally just got a notepad, a pen, and started writing down keywords, ideas and themes that I thought would suit the brand. Eventually a word popped out to me, which was Escape, and from there I just decided to name it that. Going forward, you can probably do the same thing, or you can use probably a few other sources to generate something. I think there's name generators and stuff if you're wanting to be real slack about it, or smart about it, depends on the way you look at it. Just use one of them on the computer to generate a name, but just by putting in some keywords and stuff like that, it will pop out probably 10 to 12 names or 15 names, however many, depends on what generator you use. You can get some names that way. Other things you can do is just ask friends and family and stuff like that. Just tell them the sort of vibe that you want to go for, the kind of thing you want your brand to represent, and see what they can come up with that way. While we discuss old-fashioned ways of coming up with things, the next thing we want to go into is designs and things you want to add onto your clothing. So for me, I started just by drawing again on the notepad with a pen, just drawing images and stuff like that, trying to do funky words with Escape or trying to come up with a funky logo. Ended up with what's on my chest right here, this E here. So I'm pretty happy with the result, the way it came out, and I decided to use this actually as my logo as well going forward for the brand. You can use things like Canva. It's a free software available online. Just search it in Google and that will pop up, and you can play around with a few of the features they have on there. If you're a little bit more advanced or have a little bit more experience with graphic design and that kind of thing, you can always go for something like Adobe Illustrator. You can pretty much do anything on that platform. Great, so now we've decided on the clothing we want to use. We've got an idea of the logo or the designs we want to use on them. Now it's time to bring them to life. So this is the part where we start looking at deciding on if we want to do screen printing or embroidery kind of stuff on the products. So obviously you need to shop around and get some quotes from heaps of different places, because a lot of places charge different rates. So you want to try and get the most competitive price possible, especially if you're doing a bulk order. You can probably save a few $100s if you shop around really well and make sure you get the right place the first time. So that's something that I learned going forward. So make sure you shop around, and then make sure when you're going in there and showing them the artwork or providing them with the artwork, you need to make sure it's in a vector format. So usually an EPS file or a .ai file or Adobe Illustrator. Some places I think can work with PNG and JPEG, but most prefer a vector format. So look into that a bit further if you can. If you don't understand it or anything like that, you should be able to find a 1 or 2 minute clip on YouTube on what a vector file is and how to make one through Illustrator. From there going forward, you want to make sure that your different size garments have prints or embroidery on them that's actually going to be, relevant to, or size specific, I guess is the better word, size specific to what you've got going there. So if you've got an E on this shirt, which is a large, and I put this same E on a small and put the same E on a 2XL or 3XL, it's going to look a little bit different because the size is the same but the shirt's larger. So that's something you need to take into account. So you might want to measure on different items of clothing how large you want those shirts to be, how large you want the designs to be going forward, and make sure you get those on there, and make sure that the printers are aware of the sizing and the dimensions of it that you want them to put onto the products. Otherwise it can be somewhat catastrophic if they just start going. But another thing to make sure that it doesn't happen is you can get some samples made up. So it's really good to go and look at getting some samples made up as well. Most places might be able to provide you with one sample as a one-off to see how it's going to look before you go through the whole order. If they don't do that, see if they can at least generate a online mock-up. So all the printing, all the embroidery, that's all done now and you're stoked with how it looks. Next thing we need to do is try and create a platform or a channel to sell it on. So the number one thing you're going to start doing is looking to build a website. So there's a number of different hosting platforms you can look at using. The easiest thing to set up would be a Shopify store. There's a 2-week free trial you can use, and most of it's kind of, you just input the data that you need. So you input the tabs, you just write the names of them, add more if you need, grab some images of stock online or offline. Offline is in the ones that you take. So in between this process or during this process, you want to probably get a photographer on board, get some stock photos taken of what you're going to sell, either have them just on a blank background or a white background. Otherwise you can have the model wearing them as well. That looks pretty cool. From this point it's pretty much just a matter of uploading all your photos onto there, getting a cover photo, uploading your design as well onto your website. Once you're happy with all the photos on there, go through and edit the pricing. Make sure it's somewhat competitive or entry-level pricing, because obviously people aren't going to know about it. From there it's pretty much just a matter of brand awareness now and building up a little bit of a market share there. So the best thing you can do, you can probably start away with doing some giveaways. For me it was pretty much just word of mouth kind of stuff, so I was happy to give away a few things for free, just to friends and stuff like that, or family, just to have them wearing it out and about. The way I look at it, it's better to have people wearing the stock than having it sitting in the garage or in a warehouse, not being worn at all, because the more visibility, the more people wearing it, the more awareness you'll generate, and the quicker you'll generate it as well going forward, and that's hopefully going to lead to online sales eventually. If you're not getting any sales, word of mouth or anything, don't fret too much. It's still early days. You can always go through and do some more social media stuff. So you should start looking at setting up your Instagram, your Facebook, Snapchat, whatever social media you're pretty active on, and start using those mediums as well to try and draw people in. The best thing about them is the stories, hashtag capabilities, all that kind of thing. So make sure you make all your stuff public so other people can check it out from around the world. Even if you don't do worldwide shipping, the more people that know, the better. So in conclusion, I hope this video helped you guys get a better understanding on how I went about starting Escape and ways that you can approach starting a clothing brand in your own way going forward. If you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll attempt to answer all of them. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe and for future videos. And also I've also included social media links below to all my other pages. Feel free to check them out. There will be a website link in there as well, so you can see some of the stuff I'm stocking at the moment. Would love to see you guys there. If you've watched the whole video and you still need some help understanding a few things, there's also a link there to my Medium account where I've written a blog on how to start your own clothing brand as well. So click through there and have a look. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and have a great one. See you next time.